Hi, hello, and welcome to Oracle Councilorship brought to you by Vertex of Abundance. My name is Serene Priestess of Losi. I'll be your Oracle today. And I was sent to deliberate the findings on the collective effery, with an F in front of it. Just a little housekeeping. Hi, hello, and welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. So pleased to have you. Honor and pleasure to serve. Excuse me, hiccups. If you are a new subscriber, you belong. Welcome home. So happy to have you. So happy you found us. Excuse me. That may annoy a few people. It's been a few days since we've put a video out. There was like a 2-week intermission in between. No amount of water, no amount of whatever is working. It's a spiritual thing. I might just turn the comments off. Stupid comments agitate me. So I try not to pay attention, and I'm sorry if it feels like I'm coming for you. There's something coming at me in general, whatever, what have you. When I wake up in the morning and I'm hearing like a hall of echoes telling me astrologically what to put out there into the world, the rest of the channels for the day usually aren't me. And if I wake up at like 2 a.m. in the morning with answers to questions I barely even asked, then usually the rest of the channel for the day is about me. That's how my intuition works. Yours may be different. I'm like a Mariska doll, similar to one of those, Russian head inside of a head, inside of a head, inside of a head. So if somebody's coming for me, whatever, what have you, so on and so forth. For me, the way I see it is like you might break through one layer of defense, but there's multiple. And whoever I am today or whatever you think works today, it's not going to work tomorrow, especially 2 days from now. It's not like that for everybody. A lot of people can be manipulated, typically when there's power over us. Or I don't know what to say, because every day is a lesson about the enemy, il nemico. So I'm a positive, get some hydration. It's really not going to do much of a difference. I have a hiccup rule that's been working for 15 years or more. Another thing we should understand is when the hiccups come, it means that evil not just has a plan, but it's figured out a way to come up, at least across your path, or come for you. Oftentimes, really sinister, evil, wicked, seditious, trifling, treacherous, they'll do little things where you'll do most of the work for them. So they might put a little energy in front of your door and let you track it to your house. And it's proverbial. So they could put something at your gate, and when you cross the gate, whether it's your physical, spiritual gate, does that make sense? They could set up this whole house of cards, and once you make one little move, it all comes down, kind of deal. Luckily, my name is not Humpty. My last name is not Dumpty. I could be put back together again. And I'm the kind of person that can swerve in and out of things. Not that I want to. I try not to go towards the dark, towards level, whatever, what have you. Take this little example that I'm sharing and apply it to yourself, to your life. I have the hiccups. I know some evils around. This is going to be one of the more ratchet readings. And this is Oracle Council. So we'll figure out what it is. But also we have the top and the Emperor. And this week, today is actually the Emperor Chuche. It's Oshun days. So I'm working with the Empress. And I'm also getting hot flashes too. So what that tells me is some kind of toxin has gotten in the system, and it's trying to wreak havoc. It could be an infection, it could be a virus, whatever will happen. It wants to take up hosts. It wants to incubate through our system, meaning use our energy, use our power, use our essence, use our soul to get into heaven, to get into the divine realms, to get into elite status, to access power, to access realms, time, space, dimensions that they've been kicked out of, or that their energy, frequency, vibration doesn't align with. What that means is that they're fallen and forsaken. They're so lost in their miserable, embitterment that they can't wake up, see themselves align, realign, and go on and go forward. They're stuck, maybe in a sunken place, maybe they're pinned down, bound, whatever, what have you. Their karma's 10 of Wands. It's too big for them to ride. Even if they can carry all those 10 wands on their back, which nobody can. You can barely carry 2, let alone 3. It's made their vibration so low that they can't access the divine realms. And the thing about that is, you could be in a difficult situation. You could be a day, a 3, a month, or 3 of low vibe, whatever, what have you. But after a while, it takes over the system. One thing feeds another. That's why you shouldn't lie, because once you lie, you'll believe the lie eventually. And when you lie, or when you're in illusion, delusion, confusion, or when you're in whack, dusty, musty, crusty-ish, what happens is you defile your own map. You get lost because you can't even follow the roadmap anymore, because the legend has changed. Reality has changed. The key and the interpretation has changed. That key might not even fit the door anymore. And the thoughts don't fit the man. And the man I'm talking about is the Lord, the creator, the one consciousness. So this is just a few little things that have come through. You know, why don't we go ahead and get these cards out, and I'll be right back. So I was shuffling, you know, and it told me to stop. And so we have the cards here. See, whenever the Tower and the Emperor come through together like that, it means somebody's waging war, somebody's a tyrant, somebody's belligerent, somebody's tyrannical, it's about power struggles, egos, things of that nature, things of that form. Somebody has a point to prove. They want to la-di-da, they want to yada yada. See, they're curious why their little sugar honey iced tea-ish ain't working. But there's an obsession I'm getting, and that can be confirmed by the, Knight of Cups, Prince of Cups here, Principeso. Cavalli di Copa means that there can be an apology, there can be an infatuation. Somebody's taking actions from the heart. They're taking actions from their authentic, genuine, true self. One other interpretation could be that, I'm sorry, with this war energy and all the Tower and the Chariot going with all the Prince cards, or the Knight, depending on the deck that you're using here in the Thoth Tarot. The Princes are the Knight. Knight and the Prince are swapped, and then King and Knight are swapped. Okay, so it can be that the true authentic self is nasty, it's toxic, it's volatile, and maybe toxic in general, maybe toxic for us, who knows, whatever, what have you. Learn the lesson and move on, move forward, because this is a new crisis. Somebody wants to wage war, they want to wreak havoc. It seems like we got out from underneath something, we got out of something, we got away from something, we got up and got off of something, and they don't work no more. The amalgamation, the cascading cacophony of karmic catastrophe that was laying in wait for us, we were able to abate it, maybe even avoid it. And whatever it is, if it does touch us anymore, it doesn't have the same potency. It need one happen, need one work. Whatever little plans, whatever little orchestrations, machinations were laid in wait. Okay, so I feel like somebody is trying to get their footing, get their hold again. You know, this morning I kept getting the 7 of Wands, 7 of Wands, 7 of Wands, 7 of Wands. Y'all hosts don't know. I'm just so agitated with the industry, with whatever, what have you, and I don't let it bother me, but it's hard for me to get in and fit in. It's hard for me to get in the sea and swim through the current. I don't believe that the 6 of Wands means victory. It does mean triumph. The 5 of Wands means obstacles. The 6 of Wands means struggles. The 7 of Wands means victory if you're leaning into divine protection. So that's also what the 7 of Wands was telling me today, that they're fighting off the spirits, my spirit team, or maybe collectively, because I prayed for a lot of people today. So I'm getting messages and the dots are being connected for multiple different souls, multiple different paths, multiple different timelines. 701, 701, 701, 701, 701, 701, 701, 701. Also, Cavallo de Copa, the Knight of Wands, and Deste, the wands, both the Prince, the Knight. So that means protection. Spirit is intervening, and I do feel like we're in a spiritual war, and it's getting nasty because it's going to be ending soon. And I'm just getting this end times energy, and it's not the end time. A lot of negative, karmic, toxic, evil cycles are ending, and some of these are going to be knocked down, dragged out. Because, listen, if the devil, if the dark, if a demon, if some ugga bugga miserable bitter soul is fixated on us, they ain't got nothing better. And if all they can do is wage war and do this low vibrational petty ish, it means they ain't got nothing better. The average person will do better when they know better. Okay? So remember what I'm saying. 1 out of 5 people are in the dark, they're ignorant, they can't show up properly. 1 out of 20 people are intentionally evil, toxic, malignant, whatever. And I'm not talking about the little baby kind of things where after a few letdowns, maybe a few people stop talking to them or what. Something in their life can knock a clue into them and they'll correct, maybe even overcorrect. So an easier way to look at it is, listen, 1 out of 20 people you meet gonna be nasty. And I'm not talking about the ooga booga run for the hills. I'm talking about, boy, this is the kind of person I can only deal with at the office, deal with at a party. I'll never invite them to family dinner. They're not coming to the barbecue. Okay, of those 1 out of 20 people, if you 1 out of 5 of those 1 out of 20, they need to be dropped on an island somewhere so they can all cannibalize each other. Okay, because that goes from accidental evil to intentional evil. So we have the situation right now where we changed it up. Okay, number 1, we're starting to understand our spiritual inheritance, which means we've answered the call, we are honoring our divine mission, we're stepping into alignment with the call on our life, what's been predestined for us. We're moving, at least getting out of the way of our own free will and moving into divine. Okay, because whatever we want for ourselves, I guarantee the Lord, God, Allah, Buddha, Shekinah, Jehovah, whatever, what have you, Pachamama, whatever, they want better for us than we want for ourselves. We may have it on and popping, that sizzle, that grind, that hustle, whatever, what have you. Whatever the Lord wants for us, I believe with all my heart, all my soul, whatever the Lord wants for us is better than what we want for ourselves. That's just what it is. That's just how it is at the end of the day. That's what it's going to be. So we're coming into alignment and it's kicking off. It's repelling a lot of this karma. It doesn't mean that the karma is expedited, but when it comes back, because a dumb hoe is always going to double down. A sensitive person is always going to be irate and jump to conclusions. It's a person who's even keel, who is filled with the light of God, who respond with compassion, caring, kindness, or at least curiosity, examination. Well, what did you mean by that? You know, that statement hit me a little weird. Were you trying to be helpful? Were you trying to be hurtful? I don't want to jump to conclusions. Could you fill me in? Versus like, oh my gosh, deal with my feelings and wipe my ass for me, and oh my gosh, I'm gonna externalize and project all my shit onto you. Okay, you hear the difference? So I'll be right back. We have just 3 cards here, 4 if you count the throne, the back of the deck. You know, for real, it's basically the Emperor, Page of Swords, and Nine of Cups. Now, somebody here could be an Aries rising with this Libra descendant. Somebody's here can be No, for some reason I'm getting strong Pisces energy, but somebody could also just be in Aries rising, have their Mars in Pisces, something of that nature. I keep getting, it keeps getting confirmed and reconfirmed, and spirit, the great, the white light keeps doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down, septupling down on. I let the devil, I let the dark, I let the demons, I let the haters, I let the evil side, the dark, believe that they had a hold, believe that they had their finger on, believe that they knew what was up. And yeah, maybe for a moment that they did, but you evolved at the speed of light. You got up out of that quickly. You were obedient. You got up out of it. You got up off of it. You got up over it. And what would have worked on a Monday or would have worked on January 1st, by the time August 1st rolls around, by the time Friday gets here, it need one happen, need one work. That's what it's telling me. But listen, what is really prompting this is they keep doubling down, tripling down. Even if they get served with an arrest warrant or they're told, hey, next week you're going to jail for all the shit you're doing now, they're still going to keep doing it. And see, like with the hiccups, something that they've done is going to trace back to us. When you get hiccups, if you're a spiritually initiated person, it means evil is on the way. But what it technically means is your little divine corona, your little Seven of Wands, Archangel Michael protection, somebody just as powerful has gotten in there. And the twin, because every being in the twin flame, every divine being in the cosmos, at least in these realms, this side of Pluto, they manifest with a twin. Maybe not at that time on Earth, whatever, what have you. Sometimes your twin is never going to be physically present with you. We don't need to get into all of that. The twin to the angel of light is the angel of darkness. Let me get to the point, okay? So I'm just getting this energy of like, they're not going to quit. They're not going to stop something that they've done. So we need to change it up again. If you're wake up every day and you pray to God and you walk through the day in service to God and you're answering your God duties and obligations, it's not going to matter, because sometimes we get deployed to a very dark realm. Sometimes we get deployed to a very dark place. Sometimes it's the domain of the devil. Sometimes we're in a stronghold of darkness. Okay, there's entire apartment buildings like that. There's entire corporate offices like that. There's entire, you know, streets that are really just dark. Okay. The protection, first and foremost, is God's light. So the calling on your life, the light that you possess, will dispel a lot of darkness. And this is one of those rarer evils, the intentional evil. Sometimes your light is so bright, our light is so powerful that it really, 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 really agitates the other side. And to see it, first of all, if it's at all conscious, they get reminded of the qualities and characteristics they lack, which reaffirms why they're not blessed and they can't go build anything in this life. And it also, this is where the sickness, the distortion, their warped sense of thinking, they think by taking care of us is going to make them feel better. And then the things that they do to take care of us, that's like compounding the karma. It's like getting walled in by things that you've already done. If it's up, then it's stuck, and you're the one that threw it up. Okay, now, this getting us out of the way, it's a temporary fix. So imagine having a food allergy, and your body lets you know that you have the food allergy by giving you a mild headache. And imagine you've had a headache for a week, so you start taking aspirin or ibuprofen or whatever. I don't know. Whatever brand, whatever. Okay. Just because you're masking the symptom doesn't mean the symptom has gone away. Because there's a cause of the symptom. Does that make sense? So the cause of the system is this allergy your body has to the food that you're intaking. So basically you're intaking a toxin, and your system has become toxic, so much so that your body has to warn you with a mild headache, a low-grade headache, right? And okay, yeah, you can take this little tablet, you can take this little pill, you can take this little pain reliever, have 6 to 8+ hours of pain relief. It's a temporary fix. So when haters hate, when haters resort to their tactics, to their games, when haters group together and pile on and gang up on the light worker, what that means? It's a temporary fix, it's a temporary solution. Because when you suppress and repress who you are and what's alive inside so much that you project it onto others, what happens? You manifest karmic relationships. That's what happens. You manifest karmic relationships so that you can see what's going on and you can see what's up and you can do something about it. But you don't change other people, you change yourself. The way for a human revolution is to have a revolution within inside. A world revolution is to have a revolution within inside oneself. People don't tend to understand that. They don't seem to mow their own lawn. They don't seem to clean up their side of the street. They focus and project onto other people. And then they do this verbal diarrhea. It's like their mouth turns into an anus and they start spewing everywhere. And they expect other people to make them feel better, or they project onto other people to relieve a burden of self-awareness, self-realization. And nobody can sit there and sit with the experience that they're having and sit with the emotions that come up, because those are data, it's feedback, it's information, okay? If you wanna pass the test, you need the data, you need the information that's gonna give you a correct answer, which is another word for the right way, the right path. So I'll be right back and we'll finish this reading. We still have to talk to the Empress. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. I didn't end up getting water. I made a smoothie. And I had a spoonful of oil because I've been trying to get rid of the hiccups for over an hour. Between divination and hydration, so I had to do the heavy duty, which is a spoonful of oil. That actually works for hiccups and snoring, not that I snore. You're supposed to use olive oil, but I have some of the most expensive olive oil that I can buy in person. There's actually an olive oil / vinegar place, and I'm part Italian, so my oil and vinegar, I'm serious about my oil and vinegar. Like I have 3 different types of balsamic vinegar alone, okay? Plus all the rice and the apple cider and the white. Anyways, long story short, I had a spoonful of coconut oil because it's way less expensive than my olive oil. Usually it's split for people. Anyway, so I think the hiccups have been abated. But let me sip on this cherry banana smoothie here. Keep my hands dry. So the Empress is usually, you know, representative of the goddess that is manifested in the earth, or a goddess that has taken on form. Also, it could just mean that you have your Aries, Taurus, or Gemini has either Venus, the moon, or Saturn, or it could be in the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd house, okay? So we have the Emperor here. When it comes out with an air sign, it would mean something. So this is the descendant, which would mean Venus in Libra, or so somebody here could be a Scorpio rising. But most likely Aries rising. If they're not. Okay, so also when you see Aries rising, it could talk about somebody that's Aryan. It could be that they're forceful. It could be that they're short. It could mean that they don't do a lot of collaboration, cooperation, co-creation, and whatever they think is whatever is right is whatever is real in their mind. It could be snap judgments. It could be people, again, like I'm saying, forceful. It's coming up a lot. I'm hearing forceful. Okay, so this person is forceful. There's somebody out there that's dealing with somebody that's very light in their features, even if they're melanated, so they could have colored eyes, they could be yellow bone, high red bone, they could be have a little bit of tint in their hair, natural. You know, I actually have red in my hair. This is very Aryan, very, very Aryan. Red hair, ginger, or even the streaks of red. It could be that they have brown hair, but a red beard. It could be that their favorite color is red, that they wear a lot of red, that their aura is red, okay? If we're dealing with some hater asshole, some enemy. Okay, so again, Aries energy, and it's militaristic. Somebody's coming in because they're coming at us, coming for us. Okay, so we will be triumphant because this is our position here, but we've already had a whole ass lot of stuff go on with this person. And if it's not an energy, if it's not a person, it's an energy, entity, ideology, enemy, okay? So what's going on here is that they're trying to open up a door, but whenever you have these two cards together, it brings in the devil energy. 13 plus 2 is 15. So when you have 15 wands, what is the devil card number? 15. Ultimately, it's a 6, so they're trying to gain access. They're trying to come through, pull through, come at us, come for us. It's Niguan happen, Niguan work. Again, in our hand is we have successfully abated a strike. And then you have the actual strike here. Some intellect, reasoning, communication, or it could be fifth dimensional warfare. I'm hearing the word Orion. I'm seeing Gemini constellation. I'm seeing the Orion's belt. So yeah, it's somebody who thinks they can capitalize, colonize, control. I'm not getting energy of suppression, repression, oppression, no manipulation, things of that nature, things of that form. I'm just getting somebody's pretty full of themselves. They feel entitled to whatever, what have you. And they're in their mind, in their ego, in their feelings about the fact that we're no longer controllable, accessible, approachable, whatever, what have you. Something that they did at some time previous other than now. Let's hope it was the distant past, but it may be the recent past. Something that they did, some little strategy, tactic, tool, technique, whatever, what have you, it would work, or it would appear to work to them. It need one happen, need one work. It's not happening no more. Whatever. We've repelled their energy sufficiently enough where they feel they need to come through, pull through, and make sure that we know who we are. So we know what's up, or whatever works in their little distorted, warped mind, right? Okay. Now we're at a crossroads here, and I'm gonna tell you, grotesque. Okay, we're repulsed, we're repelled by whatever it is that they've done, however it is that they are, whoever, whatever. However, they're uninteresting, underwhelming, non-compelling. They're boring, they're basic. Okay, that's what it is, how it is. And we see that very clearly. Okay. Ooh, the first burp when I don't hiccup, that's a good sign. Okay, so here's the deal. Somebody is full of themselves. They have pride, they have ego. Both of these cards mean the same thing. Six of Wands and the Sun card. So the Six of Wands also talks about being conceited. The Six of Wands also talks about apprehension for something that you stole, something that you earned, which wasn't righteous, it wasn't on and popping, it wasn't in alignment. With the Sun card, it means vanity and pride if it's in the reverse energy. Okay, so there's some mixture, some amorphous, amalgamous blob of cascading karmic, compounding retribution, karmic retribution of ego, pride, vanity, self-centeredness. Somebody might be feeling a little apprehensive. They might have gained some spot, had a following. They might have been something. They might have gotten a leg up, some kind of ascension, some type of accolade for doing what they do, being who they are, being how they are. It's not going to happen, not going to work. We don't, okay, exactly as I said, Five of Swords, okay. So Five of Swords, especially if we have Imperatrice here, Perdón. So if we have the Empress here, this is Venus in Aquarius. So this is somebody with boundaries and standards, us. We put down some type of boundary and standard. You know who they are, what they do, and how they do it. It need one happen, need one work. This is a no. Okay, so they got a victory, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm telling you. Because karma is so wonderful, and I love that. And see, karma is God's personal assistant, the law. Okay. Um, uh, so they got access to a divine realm. They were around what's called pure blissful souls. They were around divine beings, and they weren't supposed to be. The sixes, all of the sixes, talk about gaining access, and then the fifth means that it's revoked. This is literally the card for revocation, withdrawal, rescission. Okay. So they had a victory, but it's a temporary victory. The Five of Swords means temporary victory because the person was lacking scruples. Okay, so they got access to the divine realm through us. We were a vessel to divinity, to the Ingeting, the Garden of Eden, the Promised Land, paradise, because we weren't right. We was on and popping in some kind of malignant, toxic way, but we got up off of that, got up out of that. Okay, we came through that. We probably fell into temptation or ignorance or whatever, or what have you. For a moment where we had one little toxic trait or one little vulnerability that was being exploited by the other side. Because remember that Knight of Swords was here? This is exploitation, seizing upon, exploiting, infiltrating. So that it was a temporary victory. And this is the last one here. Okay. Yeah, so karma came through, pulled through. They won for a little moment. They had a little bit of juice. They got a little bit of grace. They got a little bit of a couple miles down the road, and then there was a roadblock. And it's permanent because they keep trying to double down. Yeah, see, now we have a double five. So chaos is entered on the scene. We do have a demon or a loser. Okay, somebody needs to align themselves, get right. Okay, and see, this is Saturn exalted in Libra. It could be also Venus or the moon. So something happened here, because it's Venus and Saturn, something happened here where the laws of karma came down upon them and they're stuck. They can't move forward, they can't move back, they can't move out, they can't move in. They have to stay where they are. So they've been seized. They're under somebody else's authority. It's the universe, okay? Because they needed to be a godly person, God duties and obligations. So they had power or hierarchy, some kind of role, and it was misused and abused, and they got effed up. Okay, I'm here. What I'm hearing is the universe is ucking them up, effing them up, because they got something. They were given something to do righteous and holy with, and they didn't do that. Because they want to be powerful, they want to be bigger, brighter, and better than everybody else, and they ain't ish. Yeah, and that's what it is. They're a manipulator with the Hierophant and the Seven of Swords. They're a manipulator. They like to get people into situations where they can control. You see how that Hierophant is flanked by the Seven of Swords and the Four of Swords? Okay, 7 minus 4 is 3. So they like to separate, infiltrate, denigrate people from their self-worth and value. They like people to think that they're broken, that they ain't no nothing, so that the person doing it, the manipulator, the toxic little controller, feels puffed up, high and mighty, because they've gone and beaten somebody else's down. If your power has to come from making other people feel powerless, you have no power. You are a weak, whiny, wimpy weasel, a loser. Okay, if you need to denigrate and demean other people to have meaning in your life, in yourself, you ain't ish. You ain't nothing. And when you die, when you meet your demise, when you divide from your physical form, you will go to the nothingness. And that's the best possible solution. So they can get recycled and try again. Because you haven't gotten it here. If moving through the world doesn't give you empathy, doesn't give you insight, doesn't give you intuition, doesn't give you intimacy, if you're not able to connect adequately with other beings, especially those in human form, something is divinely wrong with you, which means you're on the opposing side, which means that the devil is your master right now. And there's no la-di-da and yada-yada, because 2 5s just came up and out. And what is the devil? The devil is a trickster person of power. Basically needs to trick you into giving them power. Okay, so I just said it to your face because that's what it is, okay? Yeah. Okay, so this is a manipulator. This is a person of fake power. They're, okay, fake, false, fictitious. They're an imposter. So the role that they're in, they don't deserve, and it was probably stolen in some kind of way. Yeah, because they can't get into the promised land. They need to They're not of the infernal kingdom. They need to use a divine soul to pretend that they are. In order to get access to divine powers, at least the ones from the light, they need to co-opt, they need to hijack, they need to infiltrate a divine being. Okay, and that's what that is. Okay, in order for them to get a little share of heaven, to get a little slice of paradise, they need to resort to some dark, dirty, demonic-ish. And somebody's trying to break into our system. Somebody's trying to come into our soul, steal our essence, to get a little extra moment of glory or whatever, what have you. Okay, ho, you want to be like that? We'll see what's up. Okay, so now we have the Empress. Okay, so this reading is over. We have the Empress, the High Priestess, and Justicio, the Justice card. Judgment, 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 the Judgment card. And that's it, we're done. Okay, so I'm glad to get this reading out. I'm here, I'm around. There's been so many changes in my life that it's taken me a while to find a new groove because everything is new. Okay, you know, patience, this overcoming adversity. So don't be weak, don't be a weasel, don't be a wimp. Don't sit there and be like, oh, the sky is falling. Why is everybody not like me? Oh, listen, honey. Not everybody's gonna like you. Not everybody's gonna have the best, wish the best for you. That's a hard lesson I learned this year. And the means and the mechanisms and the modes and the methodologies upon which we learn or upon which we are informed that the other side, the other party doesn't like us or doesn't mean the best for us, they can be harsh. And it takes a moment to get our head out of the clouds and understand that not everybody is nice and sweet and loving, caring, and kind like we are. Some people are belligerently malicious. Some people are inclined to warfare. Some people really do want to see harm come our way, and they like it and they find joy and entertainment when it happens. So we need to watch what we're filling ourselves with. Our environment surrounding location needs to be high vibrational because there are vengeful and deceitful people around, okay? We need to sweep away that karma is what it is. And we need to be strong to do so. Before on our side, position number 4, it said transforming weakness. Now it says strength. So if we feel offended or triggered because I'm saying weak, whiny, wimpy, weasel, and loser and stuff like that, you need to confront your own self. I'm illuminating things alive in you that you don't particularly like, and you're being forced to confront them in my presence, and that's what's agitating you, okay? Relieving boredom. So you might have just been sitting on your ass, sitting on your thumb, doing nothing. Health came back. So don't fill yourself up with bullshit. Don't do it. Be better, be bigger, be brighter. Okay, have a goal and go after it. Serve the Lord, serve the universe, serve the white light, perceiving options. There's bigger for you, there's better for you. So this other side is trying to overcome adversity. Their life is mired in conflict, I wanted to say, but what God said was their life is toxic because their faith is of the dark. They have faith in the evil they can do. They have faith in the interference they can cause. They have faith in the confusion they can stir up. They don't have faith in the divine. They don't have faith in a bigger, brighter, and better future. They don't have faith that God loves them and that God wants the best for them. And if they surrender and ask for salvation and redemption, that it'll be achieved. Now, if you ask for salvation and redemption and you have charges against you spiritually, unfortunately, you've got to cleanse that karmic slate, which means you'll be living in a hell on earth for a while. Opportunities won't come, wealth won't grow, love won't grow. Unfortunately, you do have to expedite that karma. But once your karmic slate is wiped clean, and once you've been saved and redeemed, you can petition for new blessings. But you can be saved and redeemed and not cleansed. You can be saved and redeemed and your karmic slate cannot be wiped clean, because what goes up must come down. It's the great law, the law of cause and effect. The law of frequency, energy, vibration, cause and effect is the same thing, and that's what calls the great law. And the mediator of the great law is karma. And karma is a conveyor belt. Time is a conveyor belt through which karma can step into the physical. So until you're no longer at the frequency, energy, vibration upon which those thoughts, those words, those deeds got cast, the effects went out into the universe, until you're no longer of the frequency, energy, vibration, when they come back that attracts them, you can't be, your slate can't be wiped clean. But you can ask for salvation, you can ask for redemption. And I'm saying this directly to the demon. For us, and a demon is a low grade intelligence. You could be really good at killing people. You could be really good at sabotaging people. You can be really good at blocking people, okay? That's a wonderful intelligence if you have that type of strategy, but we're not at war. Why don't you get really good at loving people? Why don't you get really good at having compassion for people? Why don't you get really good at giving people the benefit of the doubt, or seeing the fact that they're unhealed and that they need to be awakened just like you were at one time or another? Why don't you get really good at putting light into the world instead of putting darkness? Do you see what I'm saying? So a demon is just an intelligence, or a deva, basically, at a frequency that's lower than 330 megahertz. Humans exist in the 400 to 500. Divine beings start to be 550 and beyond. Heaven exists at 700 frequency. God exists at 770, etc., so on and so forth. The creator exists at 1,000, so on and so forth. Okay, so we have loss of a loved one and self-esteem. And loss of a loved one is not always somebody died, you can't see them no more. It could also be that you no longer have access to them. You can purge or repel a person from your life. Because somebody here can't see bigger, brighter, and better. They don't have the patience to deal with what's right in front of them, which is ill health, whether it's karmic retribution or physical disease in the body. And so they have a very small view, and they don't look up over the horizon into the future and reach for the stars. They reach into the gutter and grab mierda, caca. Okay, so letting go of vengeance, eliminating deceit. It's come up a couple of times. There it is again. There it is again. So sweep away that karma. Ooh, who is that? I'm hearing that change. Okay, so I'm sorry, I gotta curse. Fuck them other hoes, yeah, fuck them other bitches. I die for my nigga, I ride for my bitches. I'm hearing that. I think it's Trina, I don't know, it might be Kaya. K-I-A-H. That's a lot of explicitives in one little sentence. So what does that mean? What does that tell me? It means that we need to not worry about what people are doing. If somebody doesn't understand us, if somebody wants to be rude to us, mean to us, whatever, what have you, we need to become unflappable. That makes sense? Things gonna happen, things gonna go down, hoes gonna hoe around, players gonna play, haters gonna hate, the devil's gonna do what the devil's gonna do. We need to not worry about it, okay? Because we have our sisters and brothers. And I like to talk about just the sisterhood, and I refer to the brothers as the priests. Men are easy to fall. It doesn't mean that every one of them are. And when you find a man that hasn't fallen, that's a real, true, genuine king, but they're few and far between. Okay? It's easier for women to stay right and upright. Now, it doesn't mean that every woman walking on the surface of the earth is holy and we need to go seek refuge in her bosom. I'm just saying there's a perseverance, there's a durability inherent in femininity, and that's why I call them the sisterhood. I look at women as a community of refuge, and men, I look at them as examples of attributes to instill in oneself. They say in the indigenous communities, the indigenous practices, that a mother is a treasure and a father is simply a mirror. And I agree, but you need to deep dive. If you're responding to the language, to the words on the surface, and you're not soul searching with that, you're gonna get triggered, okay? So when I say sisterhood, I'm talking about women. When I say brother or priesthood, I'm talking about men, okay? And priesthood is really a sisterhood, and a priesthood is not a brotherhood. It's a priesthood. It's a community where you can be held accountable for the tenets of, okay, living with grief. Okay, so what I'm getting is that loss of a loved one. So there's people in our life that we can't save. And we're dealing with depression right now. And I don't mean like, ooh, sadness, ooh, stuck, and yeah, maybe depression and maybe clinical, whatever, what have you. What we're dealing with is we're being forced to accept the reality that there's some harsh things, some malignant things, some malevolent things, maybe some toxic things going on. And we're being prepared to do the work, to take the steps, to navigate fully up out of it. Now, some of us are strong. So if there is depression, that we're really confronting our own weakness. I'm not saying we're weak. Okay, don't mistake what I'm saying. If there is some depression for the spiritual folk, and I don't want to diminish, I don't want to override, overlook, dismiss clinical. I'm not a clinician. Okay. But for most of us, especially the spiritual folk, depression is really just us detoxing spiritual weakness. And what I mean by this spiritual weakness is we're preparing, we're summoning up the resources to confront a battle that we have to have. And a lot of times, especially if we're empathic, we confuse non-harmfulness for softness, or not fighting back, or not taking a stance, or not calling people out, or not being confrontational, or not having any conflict. And a lot of this enduring compassion is really a lie we tell ourselves, because it's prolonged tolerance. And we can have unconditional love for another hoe and not have unconditional tolerance. Does that make sense? So the last two that we have here is the brass ring and transforming weakness came back. Okay, so the brass ring means reach out and grab life by the coattails, okay? Because this is on the grounds of bliss, deceit, and releasing guilt. Accepting death. So some things are over, some things have died, some things have ended, and they've been dead for a moment. And it's easier to give birth than it is to resurrect the dead. So if something that you gave creation to, or something that you put a lot of time, energy, effort, and attention into, you're walking away from betrayal. If something that you put a lot of, it's something that we put a lot of time, energy, effort, and attention into, fizzles out, fades out, falls down, falls apart, we need to let it die. The saddest part of a broken heart isn't the ending as much as the start. The tragedy starts from the very first part, because you lost your mind for the sake of your heart. So sometimes we confuse ourselves. Sometimes we deceive ourselves. That devil has to play on you. The devil needs you to give up some power. If you stay strong, emboldened, not embittered, but strong and emboldened, the devil can't really do much, and they'll start attacking you through people that are close to you. But the devil's going to come directly for you, especially at first, especially if you're a light worker, okay? And the devil is his lips spelled backwards, so they're going to try to sow the seeds of some type of demise by getting you to live permanently in a distortion. And you know better. We know better. Self-esteem, health, joy. These cards keep coming back. So if the same trinity, if the same combination, if the same multiplicities keeps appearing, it means a shift has happened. And we did just have the Lionsgate portal, which is about standing secure in our own energies, confronting ourselves, confronting others, understanding our sovereignty. Yeah, letting go of vengeance. Somebody here is on a vendetta. Now, it's two-pronged here, because some people have realized the errors of their ways. They realized that they was all effed up, that they jacked it up, that they broke it up, they broke it apart, and we've gone our separate ways. So some people are going to come through asking for forgiveness or whatever, what have you. Now, listen. That of the two examples, I'm going to explain the first example in two ways. Those asking for forgiveness. Okay, so there's two parties in the group of those asking for forgiveness. Listen, some people know they did wrong and they don't want to be judged harshly, so they want us to give them some type of forgiveness. But really, that weighs in your heart. So if your heart can't be weighed against the feather, it means you're carrying around karma. And listen, if it's up and it's stuck, if you can't forgive yourself for who you were to have to get to where you are, if you go around the world harming people and one day you wake up and you have better options, so you do better things, you got to let it go. Because we all have to go on a journey that leads to our awakening. So you coming to me for forgiveness and not going to yourself and not going to the Lord, not going to your God, your creator for forgiveness, means that you're still awakening. And I don't forgive. Everybody's forgiven, whatever. You did it, whatever. I'll forgive you 1,000 times. I won't tolerate it 1,000 times. I won't provide you 1,000 more times to do it to me, but I will forgive you. The most horrendous things I will forgive. Because not only is a humanity a vehicle for awakening, it's also a vehicle for ignorance. Just like we are made in God's image, the devil aspires to be like humans. Does that make sense? Meaning the devil would wish to have God's blessing again. The devil would wish to be chosen by God again. The devil would wish to be the most beautiful angel in the choir of heaven again. The devil, does that make sense? So this is the second group of people. The ones who are vengeful because they're jealous. And instead of confronting themselves and doing what they need to do to get back into God's good graces, they're going to go around and cause chaos. Chaos, confusion, conflict. That's the devil's currency. Also lies, evil, trickery. Okay. But chaos, confusion, conflict, it manifests. Excuse me, no hiccups, but the coughs now. Conflict, chaos, confusion, it manifests as betrayal, deceit, longing, wishing, hoping, yearning, false twins, all these other things. Okay. But they're vengeful because guess what? If you are fallen and forsaken, if you lost your crown, if you no longer have access to paradise, if after this life is eternal damnation, guess what? All you got is what you could do in this life. And for people that, if you're fallen and forsaken in this life, if you've destroyed your soul so much that there's a cardinal sin that's been committed, yeah. If you've lost your faith so much that it's damaged your soul, all you can do to get that kind of power that you had back is join the dark dominion, the infernal kingdom, or live the rest of your life kind of like rankless, like similar to a slave or a serf or whatever word doesn't offend your ego. If you've lost your faith so much that you've destroyed your soul, you either have to join the dark principality to recuperate that power, or, and see, if you do join the dark, what happens is you need to take down people of a high life. You need to go after people with a high calling on their life. You need to target people that had what you used to have. So where do you think this vengeance is coming from? Why do you think these people are vengeful? The 5 of Swords, the 7 of Swords, the Knight of Swords, that's vengefulness. And see, the thing about vengefulness, especially in the mind of a warped, twisted soul, it's different when it's coming from a spirit. And there is a spirit of vengeance. And they're not dark, actually. They are an angel, or they belong to the choir. There's 9 orders of angels, 3 groupings. Anyways, long story short, some of these twisted, sick, miserable, bitter, warped souls, they think they're justified in doing the evil, malicious, diabolical, deceptive things that they're doing. Whatever we got going on, whatever we have cultivated in our life makes them feel like it's their job, it's their duty, it's their responsibility to cause chaos around them. Okay? So imagine what kind of life it would be to perceive offense, to perceive a slight, to feel harmed or hurt when you see somebody else prospering, when you see somebody else joy, when you see somebody else happy, when you see somebody else living at free and at peace. And remember, okay, so now that it's calling them weak. Okay. Also, I keep getting the message that we need to relieve our boredom. I don't know what that is, what that looks like. If I feel like we're sitting there on our thumbs, we're not getting out there and getting the things going on that we need to go on. So a lot of times okay, exactly, deceit. A lot of times we get deceived or we get harmed or we get karma comes for us through another person because we weren't doing enough. And let me find a better way to say that. If you answer your calling in this life, the divine protection will amplify, multiply. Okay. A lot of times we get deceived or we fall into a trap or the devil comes for us or gets too close for us because there was something that we were missing. And instead of having faith in the Lord and the Creator that would be fulfilled if it was what was right for us, we allow another person to give us that faith. Another way to say this is if we're living in despair, if we're desperate, if we're longing, hoping, wishing, praying, wounded, yearning, conjuring up some wounding from the past, if there's something missing in our life because God is not enough. And it's not that God is not enough or that God is with us. It's really that it's the strength of our faith. If we're missing something in our life because our faith is low or weak or non-existent, that's when the devil comes through. And it's always through self-deception. Okay, I just got to be honest. So I've talked a lot. We've gone on a path. I had to make that video right away when it came through because I have this thing, I've been away for weeks. I haven't gone anywhere. It's like I'm on other things, I'm doing other things. And sometimes it's like, okay, if I don't make this video now, it's never going to get made. I have videos that I haven't even uploaded because I wanted to be doing other things. I could do the channel, but all the admin work around it, it doesn't work for me. And hey, that's an impediment to my work. So I'll have to overcome that and address that. Okay, so it's been an honor and a pleasure to serve. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to do so. We're not done. We got one more little thing here. Okay, so we have a talker already. Child, orphan. Okay, so this is the thing. Whenever you see child, that means there can be abuse. It's also a victim profile. So these are people unable to protect. This is the class of people unable to protect themselves. So Mart is what we've already overcome and learned, and the lesson that we're under right now is goddess. So we're understanding that we embody the form of creation. We embody the form of God. God is actually the attribute. The goddess is the form that the attribute takes or fills. Okay, and then this other side. This other side is coming up as the father archetype, which means in the negative, it means dictatorial control, oppressive, abuse of authority or abuse. And when this child orphan came out, it was like, oh, somebody's abusing us because we have spiritual powers and we don't know what we possess. I keep hearing, if I had your ABC, I would elemental P. Okay, Ho, but you didn't get blessed with the elemental P. You got XYZ over there. So why don't you just put TUV yourself? And I also see somebody jealous of our physical features. It could be our bust line. It could be our body. It could be our fertility. Fertility is money. It's also the ability to get a nice house. It's also the ability to have a lot of friends or a lot of love in the community. It's also the ability to have a lot of children. So somebody doesn't like our fertility, doesn't like our divinity. Some little hoe is twisted, warped. I don't need to go more on that. Leave it. I'm hearing that song. Yeah, wanna be my lover. Okay, so somebody also, and this is coming up a lot, even between women, somebody has lust. There's two, okay, so we're in a dark corridor. There's gonna be sinister things that I'm picking up on the channel, and I don't like it. I don't like it. Ooh, I'm sorry. I don't do the devil. I'm not into that lust energy, forceful energy, putting pressure on people, coercion, control. All those little vibrations don't work for me. Remember what I said though? I told you what was up. Let me check the battery. So, okay. So remember what I said is like sometimes when you wipe your karmic slate clean, you have to kind of live as a slave, this in pure faith to the Lord. And then slave and God came out. So somebody tried to sacrifice us because they have some type of aggrandizement. There's something that they're going after. They're striving, and they see us easily getting what they worked so hard for. But the thing is, we possess qualities and characteristics that they don't. And the work that we've done is not external. It can't be read. It can't be measured. We've done work inside. And so we're getting things, we've done the hard work, which is on ourselves. So we're getting the things that people won't get because we've done the work that people won't. Most people won't show up to their life. Most people won't confront what's alive in them. Most people won't be honest with themselves about who they truly are and the energy they're putting out into the world. Most people can't actually see themselves. Most people can't self-reflect. Most people are not self-aware. Most people lack a sufficient level of humanity, which what I mean by that is not humane. I mean empathy, intimacy, and insight. Most people lack the empathy, intimacy, and insight in order to get at that high level. And wealth is not about cash money, dollar bills, assets, currencies, investments, a portfolio. It's actually about the ability to be fruitful in perpetuity with the small little seeds that are planted in your life. So if you put work into something, time, energy, effort, attention into something, focus on something, it will grow. And when that doesn't happen, it means you're no longer wealthy. And a lot of times these people that are jealous of us, nothing's gonna grow because they sow evil seed. So it's not about how evil your seed is, because if something's not growing, you don't look at the seed, you look at the soil. You say, what conditions do I need to create? And these people have had a lifetime of being evil, toxic, malignant tumors, parasites walking around, and they're not looking at themselves. So imagine the kind of maladaptive, idiosyncratic, imagine the type of illness, imagine the type of dis-ease a person needs to be perpetuating in their life in order to be so out of touch. When you have Prince here in the dark, it means self-aggrandizement, power seeking. And then they tried to sacrifice us. I'm glad I was able to do this. And I'm sorry if I've been away from the channel for a long time. I'm trying to correct that. I'm here, I'm present. It's a lot of energy that goes into the videos, you know, and because I'm channeling, I'm pouring from my soul. It's not bad, it's not difficult. I just, instead of putting my energy out there, I've been putting my energy inside, and I just had to put that out there. I'll be back soon. I'm not gone. This is going to end relatively soon. It's not going to last forever, but we need to know what this is, because this is the time when we can slip. You know, I was working with a mentor recently, and I was listening to a model that they had introduced to me, and I don't know which billionaire this comes from, but this quote is from a billionaire. And I look at billionaires and millionaires as like the new gods and the old gods, okay? And it's just a way to explain it and to understand it and to frame it. It's not the truth. Most billionaires are actually in the dark kingdom. Okay, so the model that was given to me is when you work on accomplishing things, when you work on what you call deliverables, executables, when you work on deliverables and executables, when you work on accomplishing things, other people are happy with you. When you work on accomplishing states of being, like personality traits, characteristics, when you work on things like hard work, ethic, when you work on things like integrity, when you work on things that other people can't see, you feel better. When you work on things that people can see, they feel better. Okay, so it's like when you're going down in an airplane, you need to put the gas mask or the air mask or the oxygen mask. Excuse me, we're not doomsday. Oxygen mask, not gas mask. When you need to put the oxygen mask on yourself, why is that? It's clear and obvious. If you're not feeding yourself, you can't feed anybody else. Okay, so take it a step further. Feed yourself before you feed other people, unless they're your children, of course. Duh. And then, work on internal versus external, and work on internal versus feed yourself before you feed others. And so here's the thing. Now that you understand the first two, so there are beings in this world that don't search for their own food. Their food comes from stealing another person's kill, another being's kill. There are animals in the wild that only feast on dead things as well, like vultures. There are things in the wild that, there's a type of African cat, it looks like a cat, okay? There's a lot of things in the Amazonian, there's classes of beings. So there's ones that live on the floor, there's ones that live low in the trees, there's ones that live high in the trees, there's ones that live in the road. So there's these, it's another type of cat that after you get your food and you bring it back to your little, it'll steal it from you, right? It doesn't go out and hunt for its own food. It waits till you make a kill, and then it comes and takes it from you. Does that make sense? There are beings in the world that live off of other beings, like parasites. You see this a lot in the ocean. It can be a symbiotic relationship, especially if it's nature in the wild, because it doesn't have discernment like we do. It's pure flight or fight. It's pure. Nature is wonderful because it's pure trigger response. So as we call it here, vibe or energy or whatever, it's behavior, really. If you do something in the wild, but the other person doesn't like, they just gonna cut. It's not about rhyme or reason. It's not about explanation. Basically, it's what you're doing over there doesn't make me feel safe over here. I've got to get some distance. Period. There's no other equation. With the humanity, we have all this little rhyme and reason and benefit of the doubt and la-di-da and yada yada and whatever and what have you. And ish gets all effed up, okay? So that's the third thing. Understand that there are beings in existence, especially right now, there are beings in existence that thrive on seeing you suffer. There are beings in existence that thrive on seeing us suffer. There are beings in existence that want to feed off of us. There are beings in existence that take pleasure in taking from us. If they see us thriving and they're thriving too, they're not going to be joyful. They're only going to be joyful when they're thriving because we're not thriving. That's not how nature works. There's no, from what I understand I have a lot of work in anthropology, but I'm hearing ecology, the study of biological systems. There's no other, I haven't seen it in my research, in my academic training, I haven't seen it where there's another being in the wild, in nature, that takes pride and pleasure in us suffering. Now, listen, a lion can. Another thing that's coming to mind right now is I was reading the news, and a humpback whale, which is like the record keeper of the universe, washed up ashore, like off the coast of New York. And then I was reading more, and 18 whales have washed up along the eastern seaboard this year. Okay. Also, there's all these fires going on in Maui, and that has a lot of significance because Hawaii has the vibration of 33. Hawaii, Indonesia, and Tibet are basically a vibration of 33, which stands for serenity, like eternal serenity. It actually is the number of Melchizedek. So there's all these places where paradise is being attacked. Paradise has, like the hiccups at the beginning of the video, something has made it through the barrier to paradise. A snake has gotten in the garden, and they're trying to convince us to, eat the apple. Does that make sense? That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting. I'm also seeing a lot of people who speak the truth. A lot of people who tell the truth are disappearing. Anything from doctors giving out cures to diseases that big pharma is making billions of dollars on, to people that are refusing to go in alignment with the institutional toxicity or the institutional abuse that's been going on for years and years and years and decades and decades and decades. When a person who's a truth speaker comes into the system and they're putting a block, they get attacked. When a person is true, authentic, and you can't respectability politic them, meaning compassion bait them or tone police them or concern troll them or individuality shame them or whatever, what have you, they disappear. It might be that they get cast out the system. It might be that we can't find them. I'm sensing it a lot. And what I was told when I prayed about it, when I went to seek guidance from the Lord, there's a battle, and it's not a physical battle, it's a spiritual battle. So don't go confronting people, don't go getting all up in people's faces, because I got an attitude. If you met my mama, you'd understand why. I will say it to your face, and I don't care about your feelings. How you in my way, you in my face, you in my energy, I'm gonna snatch you up. That's how I am. And it's not about that. It's not about doing anything other than giving our problems over to the Lord, having faith in the Lord, having faith in creation, and doing our part, which is God duties and obligations. If we are answering the calling in our life, upon our life, if we are going to wherever we've been assigned to spread light, all else is fine. And if we're dealing with something, it's because there's a lesson and we need to literally pray about it, give it over to the Lord. If we don't do that, because like I said, there's all these fires all over Hawaii. There's all these record keepers, the whales, washing up on the shore on the eastern seaboard. That is a sign that we're approaching end times, number one. For me, it is. Listen to your priestess or don't, okay? I'm just an oracle. All I do is read cards and talk to the Lord, okay? And the other one is, like I'm saying, the other point that I'm making is Ingening, paradise, the Inn Garden, Garden of Eden, the Promised Land. There's infiltration right now. There's literally a siege at the divine gate. They're trying to break through the moat. They're trying to break through the front gate. And they is the collective darkness. To me, the devil is the collective ignorance. Satan is the spirit that can manipulate that form. God is really just a being that can inhabit a space, and there are all types of forms and spaces. The universe is a space. You are a space. Love is a space. Hate is a space. Ignorance is a space. Intelligence, awakening is a space. There's all types of forms and spaces that can be inhabited. Okay. Mountains is a different space. Trees is a different space. The ocean is a different space. Once you get really spiritual and you get into occultism and ascension magic and stuff, these things will start to make sense. But you got to learn a little bit of a lot of different things, and then suddenly you have these dots, and you'll see a pattern between a few of the dots, and you won't recognize the other dots, and you can fill them in according to. You learn a little bit about a lot of things, and then something will start to call to you. And before that happens, typically you're entering a calling of your own soul, which is your intuition activating, because that's the God alive in you. That's the part where your receiver catches the divine frequency. And you'll start to see it now that I've said it, that the divine spaces, the divine places on earth are starting to be infiltrated. Don't be infiltrated yourself. That's what that transforming weakness is. Stand strong, stand secure in the self. Don't let the devil through the gate. Don't let the devil through the door. And if the devil has made it through, cast them out. I rebuke you, I revoke you, I rescind you, I reject you, I repel you. In the name of, Jesus Christ, or the Lord, God Almighty, the Most High Spirit. To me, I just say, I really believe in Het Heru, which is Ade Havioso. In India, it's Indra. For me, if I'm marshaling my resources, I call upon Indra because it'll tell me where to go next. Oftentimes, spirits will just come and talk, and they'll inform me, instruct me, educate me on what's up and what's happening and how to navigate, negotiate, push through, pull through, okay? So I love you so much, baby. I really do. And I'm sorry if I've been away too long. I needed to do that. I don't know why yet. There was something in my system growing and stretching and resolving itself and reconciling itself out. Nothing's wrong. I did have a little bit of burnout, but it's because my intentions weren't fully aligned. And I really have so many ideas to bring out to the world. But you know what? I'm a little bit flexible with my routine right now, so I don't want to make promises I can't deliver on. Expect more videos, and that's all I could say. In the daily videos, I'll leave the announcements there. The daily tarot buffet, I just haven't been making the daily videos. We're off about 7 of them, so there's going to be a gap where like 7 or 8 or maybe even 9 are missing, and we're going to pick up with the scheduled programming. I do have a treat for you though. Most of the signs, except Aries, Taurus, Gemini, that you got an 11-11 reading specific for your sign. For those who didn't get them, those last 3 signs, it'll come, okay? But how it's gonna come is in the form of a quick shout out during the weekly. So the next weekly tarot buffet, look for some understanding on how to fill in the gaps, connect the dots, and then look for announcements in the daily tarot buffet. And let's just leave that little guideline until the energy shifts, until we're out of the different portal, until things are more stable. Maybe on my side, maybe on the channel side, maybe on your side, maybe in the universe, who knows? Me personally, the lesson that I've learned is just surrendering. My will is too strong, and I got a plan. I got a Virgo midheaven, and I got my little way, and it's refined and elegant, and you ain't gonna say no nothing because you ain't nothing. That's not always true, but it usually is. But not when it comes to the Lord. You've got to be obedient to the Lord 100% of the time, period, point blank. And that was a problem for me. That got smacked out of me though. And I'm coming back around. I'm recuperating and healing from that lesson. Boy, was it a big one. And I had a little bit of burnout and apathy myself personally. My rule is when a person leaves my life, I just want to make sure they know that there's love here. I don't want it's fine if what have you ain't gotta make up. Okay. I'm sure you can legitimately find a reason not to like me. When your mind is warped and sideways and twisted and you believe all these things that are only exist in your mind and ain't true in reality and whatever. Okay. I had a lot of those in a very short period of time, just get nasty. So I feel like the devil came for me. And in these past few weeks, I've been taking a lot of baths and going to bed before the sun even goes down. And it's amazing. I'm so well rested right now. But I'm also sad because now I look out into the world and I see just how lost everybody is. I see just how ignorant and belligerent everybody is. I see how distorted and warped and twisted everybody is, and how far away they've how far away they've gotten from God. There's a word, I can't think about it right now. But most people have left God on the back burner. They have no higher power. They're not connected to source. They're not connected to community. They don't have a calling in this life. They're striving usually for money or love. They're trying to get dick down or get a couple extra zeros in your bank account, which is great. I'm all for it. Go get it, sister. It's not what life is about, though. You can't take that with you to heaven. Okay? You can't take your dollar bills, your cash money dollar bills. You can't take your man to heaven with you. I know we think twin flames and whatever and what have you. One soul can take on 12 different faces in the higher realms. Okay? Your twin flame can inhabit through any person that's a member of your soul group. If you were supposed to meet your twin flame at the gas station on a Monday and you don't make it to the gas station, you can have the same soul come to you as a different looking person the same Thursday. He would have looked different on that Monday. We don't understand. We have full of these ideas because they're hopes and wishes made and designed to abate, to alleviate the suffering that we experience because we're longing, hoping, wishing, and praying. There's a hole in our heart that we're wanting something outside of us to fill, something outside of us that we can see, touch, taste, smell, hear, to fill this gaping sized hole in our heart. And really the only thing that can fill this hole in our heart, this hole in our soul, is God. And we're distracting ourselves with everything else but God. And see, if you want to waste time, if you want to procrastinate, if you want to distract yourself, if you want to soothe yourself, if you want to take a few days off, do it with God. Not a man, not the TV, not gossip, not Facebook, Instagram, whatever, what have you. Do it with God. Read a book about God, pray to God, read the Bible, whatever, what have you. And I don't read the Bible. I read the Bible because it has Psalms, it has Proverbs. I really like Kings. I really like Judges. I really love those books. But I read the Quran and I read the Talmud and I read the Egyptian Book of the Dead. So, hey, it's the holy word. It's scripture. Go for it because it's a recipe for life. It's a manual, Bible, basic instructions before leaving Earth. Okay. So I hope something that I said was helpful, not harmful. And I honor you, I praise you, I thank you. If anything I said was resonating with you, go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe. The videos will not be this long on average. And listen, when these two cards come out, it means you're gonna get a call from the universe, period, point blank. And it's because you're chosen. You have the love of the divine, period, point blank. The Empress does not come out for a person who's fallen, for a person who's forsaken, for a person that doesn't have the attention of the Most High. That's just what that is. Take good care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, honey.